The vice presidential debate. Sorry, my mind drifted. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, the vice presidential debate. It'll be aired tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, opposite a reshowing of Goodfellas, an absolutely classic film that follows a mobster during the period of the vice presidential debate, which I guess is what we have to talk about. The vice presidential debate will be between two people who I guess are running for something, probably vice president, hence the name of the debate. One of the candidates is Tim Kaine, or maybe that's the other candidate, who could be Mike Pence, unless he isn't. Now, this debate could be particularly important because Donald Trump, the Republican candidate for bizarre president, is 70 years old and can't live forever, please God, whereas Hillary Clinton, the Democratic candidate for perfidious president, has, of course, been secretly dead for months. Now, in the event Trump should suddenly die or have to be put down in the name of public safety, then Mike Pence would have to become bizarre. And by the same token, if anyone should wander into the White House cellar and discover Hillary Clinton's body, then Tim Kaine would have to become perfidious. The question then becomes which of these two candidates is best qualified to become as bizarre or as perfidious as the person they would replace, and whether that candidate is really the other candidate or in fact the candidate we originally thought he was. Equally important is what do these two men stand for, and which of them stands for it, or is it the other one? And will it take so long to explain what they stand for that there's a possibility of missing the new episode of Lethal Weapon, which begins at 8 p.m., after whatever is on before it? Possibly the vice presidential debate. But that's another subject. Oh, no, wait, that's this subject. The vice presidential debate. That's what we're talking about now, isn't it? Or was it Goodfellas? What a great movie. Anyway, Tim Kaine and Mike Pence, or vice versa, will face off in a spirited back and forth that will be moderated by Elaine Quijano because no one you've ever heard of would take the job. Tim Kaine is expected to make the case that even though Hillary Clinton is the most selfish, dishonest, insincere, and empty-hearted candidate to have ever run for perfidious president, he himself is such a nice guy that he may actually turn out to be Mike Pence. Mike Pence is expected to point out that even though Donald Trump is temperamentally a chimpanzee who shouldn't be allowed any closer to a nuclear code than the Tasmanian devil from the Warner Brothers cartoons, he himself, Mike, or Tim, or whichever one he is, would actually make a great president in the event someone would just, for the love of God, sneak up in back of this Trump guy and pound him into unconsciousness. So that's the preview for whatever we were talking about. Oh yeah, the vice presidential debate on tonight, opposite Goodfellas. Great film. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
It never gets old. I could just play that thing over and over again the whole show. All right. It's the mailbag tomorrow, our 200th show. It is our 200th show, so send in your extra special 200th anniversary questions, or send in 200 questions, or whatever you want to do. Also, if you think of it, if you're asking a question and you think to let us know who you're leaning toward at this point, who you're leaning toward voting for, if anyone, or if you just want to get out of the country, and will you take us with you? That's all we want to know. But it is the mailbag, so please get your questions in. You have to subscribe to be in the mailbag. If you don't subscribe, you can watch us on Facebook or YouTube for 15 minutes, and then the police will come to your door and confiscate your computer, but they will give you a plea deal so you don't have to go before the Senate and to tell how you got rid of your emails. After we go off on Facebook or YouTube, you can come over to the Daily Wire or download us on SoundCloud or iTunes, but still you cannot see this fantastic panoply of magnificence if you don't subscribe, and you can't be on the show through the mailbag. Also, of course, if you subscribe, you get Shapiro's show too, which is, I've heard, is pretty good. I've never met the man, but and also, I don't think we're giving away the great good thing a secular Jew comes to faith in Christ. I will not continue to, I cannot stand plugging myself. I just can't go on and doing it. So I'm going to stop reminding you, and you're going to miss the experience of a lifetime. Not your lifetime, my lifetime. The great good thing a secular Jew comes to faith in Christ. And just before we start, I have to say we're really sorry about what happened with our cultural correspondent, Michael Knowles. A lot of people were complaining. There was a technical difficulty in the satellite that goes around Neptune. Let me be the first to take responsibility for blaming Jonathan Hay. But, you know, from now on, I mean, the joke was funny, but we actually can't. The guy literally is 25 feet away, and we can't get a good connection. So from now on, we're going to bring him into the studio and talk to him here. And if he still breaks up like that, it's him, you know. Maybe he just comes home and says, "Hi, home for dinner," you know. That may just be what Knowles is like. All right, so this campaign, you know, this campaign has now become so degraded that I feel it's degrading me. You know, I feel like I'm becoming a worse person for being in a country that is having this campaign. And I really, you know, I've really been thinking about this. There's something about politics. There's something about politics that is, in fact, that distracts you from the important things in life and actually gets you to think in a way that is not good for you. And this campaign is just that writ large. If you took every instruction that Jesus Christ ever gave his followers, judge not, lest you be judged, you know, forgive, you know, those who trespass against. Politics leads you into doing the exact opposite thing. It really is true. It is politics. This is not blaming either candidate or anything. These guys just make it worse. So now we're talking about absolute garbage. We're really talking about garbage. We're talking about Trump's legal tax returns that are completely legal, as if anyone, you find me from Hillary Clinton to the editor of the New York Times, you find me anybody who pays more taxes than he has to pay, and I will show you a guy who should be tarred and feathered and thrown out of the country because he doesn't know what he's doing, you know? So Trump made a loss. This is how Hillary is spinning this. Hillary, and watch her, by the way, she looks great. She looks like she's really having a good time now.
And all the while, he was using his political connections to collect hundreds of millions of dollars in government subsidies and extra tax breaks for his companies. In other words, Trump was taking from America with both hands and leaving the rest of us with the bill. Now, he says that he's the one who can fix things, but that is like letting the fox guard the hen house, right? And here's what I really am just stunned by. I get stunned every day in this campaign, but here's one of the many things that I'm stunned by. He has put forth a tax plan that would cut his own taxes even more. It would be like you're paying zero. You expect us to pay you to stay in business, all the rest of us in America? He'd open the loopholes even wider, and according to a new independent study, he would actually, listen to this, people, because this is a real shocker, his plan would actually raise taxes for millions of middle-class families.
That's the best I've seen her since this campaign began. That something about this debate, I mean, I think that this was the big question. Obviously, it was a big question in her mind, whether she would go on against Trump and he would blow her away. She had this trick that she used where she goaded him and she baited him and she went after him, and the psychologist told her that he couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand it. He went nuts. And he has made an utter fool of himself. Now he's starting to get his footing back because his response to this was excellent. I thought this is what he should have been doing the whole time. This is the Trump on influence peddling.
They haven't added a single dollar of value, people like Hillary, to the American economy. Hillary Clinton hasn't made an honest dollar in her entire life. All she does is takes from you, takes from your country, and peddles influence to donors, special interests, and foreign actors for astronomical dollars like you've never seen before. It's corruption of the highest order. You know it, I know it, she knows it, and plenty of other people know it, but they're not doing anything about it. Well, I made my money as a very successful private business person, following the law all the way. Hillary Clinton made her money as a corrupt public official, breaking the law and putting her government office up for sale. And now she's running for president. By her own account, Hillary Clinton left the White House dead broke. She said, dead broke. And then, remember, she became a senator for New York, did nothing. Remember the jobs she was going to produce? She never produced them. And then she became Secretary of State. And now she would have made more than $200 million without building a company or creating a single thing of value.
I mean, that's what he should have done during the debate. She attacks you, you attack her. That's the way that works, but he has to defend himself. And whether or not anybody has said to him, Steve Bannon or anybody else has said to him, this is your problem, stop doing it, I don't know, because he's still, Nolte, who supports him, our friend John Nolte, who writes for the Daily Wire, he supports him. Nolte's going nuts. He's just saying this is his fault. A lot of people who support Donald Trump are saying, if this is what he's going to be like, he's going to destroy himself. Now, I think my guess is he's got one more shot. And the reason is this. One, if he comes back and does a good job at the next debate and really takes her out, does this sort of thing, I think all this poll stuff is just going to go back the way it was before. It's going to be a very close run race. I suspect there's a little bit of advantage to Trump outside of the polls. A lot of people who the pollsters don't talk to probably voting for Trump. But the polls have been very accurate for the last two elections, so let's assume they're going to be accurate. The other advantage he has is the media. He has the media. We talked about this yesterday, that they overplay their hands. They're so obviously in the tank for Hillary. She's so obvious. It's not like Obama. First, let's just take a look. Here's Jim Vandehey from Politico, which is a left-wing site most of the time. But he's getting it. He understands what's happening.
When there are these overreactions in the media, I think one of the things that helps Donald Trump and one of the things that discredits our profession is that you go on Twitter and you watch some people on TV who are supposed to be sort of playing it down the middle, and that people are watching for cues on whether they can trust them. And if every single time you're like doing the end zone dance because you want to make fun of Donald Trump or you want to defend Hillary Clinton, I don't think that really helps us. I don't think it really helps the voter. And it ends up, I just worry at the end of this election, people are going to say they don't like her, they don't like the Republican Party, they hate us. And so the situation we have is worse, not better than what we had.
The reactions.
And, and this is the thing, the media's line that they're selling you is that, well, Trump is so bad that this time we're not going to be objective. And that is I laugh, ha ha. that is me laughing, because the media sold its soul for Obama. It was always left-leaning, but it sold its soul for Obama. And the way they have covered and not covered the IRS scandal, the shutdown of free speech throughout the administration, the disaster, Obama's disastrous decision-making in the Middle East. Today in the Wall Street Journal, a guy named Lawrence Lindsay had a thing where he just compared, he said it was called judging Obama by his own standards, and he was judging Obama's economic record. And he points out that the administration in February 2010 submitted a budget where they predicted that real growth would average 3.9% annually. Instead, it averaged 2.2%. 2012, they put out a budget estimating they would get 3.9% growth for 5 years, 2%. It's been 2%. In February 2012, the administration submitted its fiscal year 2013 budget, estimating 3.6%. It's gotten nothing like, again, more closer to 2%. They're failing on their own terms. They have introduced a new normal. Even the New York Times yesterday led with a story about Obamacare falling apart. And of course, the New York Times says, well, Obamacare is falling apart. What we need is more government health care. We need a single-payer health care, which is like every con man who has ever lived. When you realize, we gave you money to make it rain, but it hasn't rained. Well, you didn't give me enough money. If you'd had a little bit more faith, given me a little bit more money, that rain would be coming. It would be coming. Feminism. Feminism has made me more miserable. You need more feminism. That's what it is. Leftism destroyed the country because you're not leftist enough. Every con man who ever has lived, from snake oil salesman to Karl Marx, sold the same thing. It's failed. You need more. But the Clintons, okay, so the media sold their soul for Obama, but the Clintons are just different. The Clintons corrupt everything they touch. Everything that the Clintons do, people make excuses for them, and then it gets worse. So Bill Clinton is having sex or something like sex with a woman young enough to be his daughter in the Oval Office, which we pay for, and they have to make excuses for that, and then that becomes okay. That becomes okay. So the next guy down has to do something worse, and they make excuses for him, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. The show, however, is going to get better and better and better because we have more interesting things to say, but we have to say goodbye to our friends on Facebook and YouTube. Come on over to the Daily Wire. You can hear the rest. Bye.